Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on word order. Today, we'll explore how the arrangement of words impacts meaning and clarity in language. We'll look at different structures and their effects, giving you a clearer understanding of this fundamental aspect of communication. Let's get started. Let's take a closer look at the contents of this presentation. First, we'll start with an introduction to word order, which is fundamental in understanding how sentences are constructed. Next, we'll explore the natural word order, which is the typical or most common way words are arranged in a sentence. Then, we'll examine inverted word order, a fascinating variation where the usual sequence is flipped for emphasis or stylistic reasons. Finally, we'll have an activity to put these concepts into practice and see how they work in real examples. Connecting all these points is essential because understanding both the natural and inverted orders will help us better analyze and create clear, effective sentences. This overview sets the stage for a deeper dive into each of these areas as we move forward. Today, I want to talk about the concept of word order. Essentially, it refers to how words are arranged in a sentence, a clause, or even a phrase. Think of it as the backbone that holds the structure of our language together. The way words are ordered can change the meaning of a sentence entirely, so understanding this is crucial. As we move forward in this presentation, you'll see how different languages have different rules for word order, which influences how we communicate and interpret meaning. Recognizing this pattern helps us appreciate the nuances of language and how it shapes our understanding of what's being said. Now let's talk about what we call the natural word order. This is really the most straightforward and common way we structure sentences in English. It simply means that the subject comes first, followed by the predicate. For example, if I say, "The dog ran down the street," the subject is the dog, and the predicate is ran down the street. This order makes sense because it's how we naturally think about actions and who is performing them. Understanding this concept is key because it helps us recognize basic sentence structure, which is fundamental to clear communication. So, whenever you're constructing a sentence, remember, starting with the subject, and then the predicate is the default, most natural way to go. This forms the backbone of most sentences and keeps our language easy to understand. All right, let's talk about inverted word order. This is a structure where the usual order of subject and predicate is flipped. Instead of the subject coming first, the verb or predicate comes before the subject. For example, you might say, "On the table was 5 cookie jars." Here, instead of saying, "There were 5 cookie jars on the table," the sentence starts with the location, emphasizing the scene first. This kind of structure can add a poetic or dramatic effect, and it's often used for emphasis or stylistic reasons. Remember, the key point is that inverted word order places the verb or predicate before the subject, which can change the tone and focus of a sentence. This technique ties into our overall theme of understanding different sentence structures to improve clarity and style in our writing. All right, now for our final activity, let's focus on transformations. I'll give you some sentences, and your task is to convert each one into its vice versa form. This exercise helps us understand how sentence structures can be flipped while keeping the meaning clear. For example, if I say, "Economics is my favorite subject," you'd turn it into something like, "My favorite subject is economics." It's about changing the sentence to emphasize different parts, but retaining the core message. Similarly, "Here are my proposals" can become, "My proposals are here." When I say, "Flying in the sky was an enormous kite," you can transform it into, "An enormous kite was flying in the sky." For "discovered in this cave were precious treasures," the reverse would be, "Precious treasures were discovered in this cave." And finally, "The gigantic ship sank between the waves," becomes, "Between the waves sank the gigantic ship." This activity is a great way to sharpen your understanding of sentence structure and how to manipulate it to suit different contexts. Keep in mind the importance of maintaining clarity and coherence as you flip these sentences around. Let's give it a try and see how well you can master these transformations.